Check it out. Look what I got. The Oceanus OCW-T1000B-1A JF module 5141, released in early 2011. So this baby came in the box. With modules, with warranty card. Had all links. It's a bit dirty. Dead battery. Created a my own catalog with all the versions of this watch, but we're gonna get into that. Before we do, let's jump into the video, part of the video where I show you how to open it up and change the battery. All right, check it out. This is how I got the watch. See how dirty it is? It looks like they took pretty good care of it, but they didn't do a good job cleaning it or keeping it clean. But don't worry, we're gonna clean this up and make it look brand new again. No crazy scratches or anything like that on the watch, which is very rare. All right, check this out. No, when I press in the crown, it doesn't move. The sub dial down below, it should move, or it should do a click and go to the home button. So that battery is dead. All right, to remove the bracelet, I'll go into more details later with this. That's where the collar goes on the bracelet side. And you can see that the bracelet is kind of dirty, and so is the watch there. It's a little bit difficult to remove, but I'll show you later. And here is the inside of the watch. There you could push to remove the crown, the AC. But before I remove the crown, I want to replace the battery just to make sure that the watch is working properly before I go in any further. And you can see that plastic ring is actually covering the tab where you lift the door, the battery door open. So the first thing we got to do is remove that plastic ring. Simple little pick here that I have. Just find a good corner and lift. There you go. So now it's a little bit tight. You gotta find a good corner here. Hold the module, that way you don't put any pressure on the crown, and pop that little tab over. It doesn't have a little space where you can just hook onto it, so it's a little bit difficult. Notice that blue ring, I've talked about it in the past. That needs to be removed and put on the new battery. So this old battery has a 10YK number. That means it's from 2010, and Y means November. So it's a very old battery. What is that? 16 years old battery. Luckily it did not leak. This is the new one. So it's 2492. That means 2024, month 9, September. That's me removing the little blue tape. Sometimes it'll lose the glue, the adhesion. The important part is that it's in the same place when you close that door tab, so it doesn't create a short. All right, so in goes the battery, the new battery, negative side up. CTL920F is the battery this watch uses. Rechargeable battery. Now once you put the battery in, make sure that a little blue tape is right in the middle, centered. Nothing's gonna be moving. Do an AC reset. Now once you do an AC reset, you're gonna see the second hand start moving. So took out the battery again, and now I'm gonna use my pick here to press on that little hole where I showed you previously. And while pressing at the same time, I'm gonna pull out the crown. You gotta be very careful because this crown is very, very thin and fragile. So once the crown is out, the module comes straight out. As you can see, only 2 buttons there. Next thing we gotta do is pull out the C-clips with my tool here. I put them on a vertical, that way I don't lose them. I'm looking at the button just to make sure I remember which way they go back in. Take them out. And remove the O-rings. As you can see, it has about 15-16 years of dust collected inside those crevices. This is why I like to remove the buttons and clean everything and re-lube everything. So the crown does not, like I mentioned, does not have a O-ring. The O-rings are inside that hole right there, and it has like a double O-ring. Hopefully you can see them. And that was everything clean. Put back everything, re-lube the O-rings. So to put back the bracelet, I suggest you take out the where the buckle is. It's a lot easier. Use the little hammer here to hammer it in with a little bit of tape. That way you don't scratch the watch. And that's basically how you have to put in the bracelet, making sure you're putting it in on the correct side. Notice that I'm doing the side where the crown is up, and I'm using this adapter here. That's one of those adapters to push in the pins, to maybe get the pin a little bit further in, but with the hammer was good enough. It wasn't really necessary. All right, welcome back. All right, to get into a little more detail on how to remove the bracelet, because on this model is a little bit more difficult than on previous models. It does have a pin and collar here. My suggestion is, if you get like a similar watch, go by the markings here on the bracelet. You see how you see that arrow? That's the way you have to push out the pin. And on this side of the bracelet, most likely that's how you're gonna have to push out over here at the beginning. So with the watch at the 12 o'clock here position on the top, you have to push in from left to right. left to right, and then on the 6 o'clock at the bottom, you have to go from right to left. Now there's probably a tool where you could put the watch and you could slowly push it out, similar to this for like doing the bracelet. I've never seen it for like doing it up here because this is not big enough to, you know, to do this part here, or it's kind of uncomfortable to hold the watch in this location here, and you run the risk of scratching it. So what I do is, the easier thing to do is to remove the spring bar here and open the watch up, and then using an adapter, these pins, which is the same thing that connects to this, doing this side first because the crown is in the up position. You put it in here, and then using the hammer you get hit it, and the pin is going to come out this way, and then using a plier pull out the pin. And then when doing the top side, you have to be careful not to rest the watch on the button or the crown, or you're going to mess it up. So you're going to have to like find a way to hold the watch in a place, probably up in the air like this, so when you're tapping it with the hammer, the crown is not hitting the tabletop, or you're gonna mess up the crown. And then you can remove the bracelet. That's about as good as you're gonna get to remove. If you know what the tool is to remove the pin and collar from up here, let me know down below. Now let's get into the details of this watch. All right, so I created this catalog thing here with the help of ChatGPT. I provided some of the information and the images, and these are some of the models that came out. You can see that the first one came out in 2010, and the last one came out in 2013. So this watch received from the G-Shock's the tough movement technology, and it's also tough solar. But this watch actually handed down a technology down to the G-Shocks and to the Casio Edifice line, the smart. Let me see what it's called. Smart Access, which is actually just like the smart crown here technology. But we're gonna get into that pretty soon, and all the models. So here is some information here. I'm gonna leave a link so you guys can download this and read it. So that's the 5 motors, which is not the first watch with 5 motors. It's just the first watch with smart access. So they basically eliminated 2 of the buttons and made the crown do all that, make all the functions. All right, so here, module 5141. That's the measurement, the weight, titanium. These watches are all titanium. This is the only one that's black. This one is iron. I'm reading my notes here on the side. Iron plated. This one is iron plated, titanium iron plated. The crystal is dual curved sapphire with anti-reflective coating. You see that? Now it looks like it has blue AR coating, but it doesn't. It's clear. What it has is around the corner, around the edge here is blue. And I believe the first watch to have something like that was the Rolex Milhouse, which on that watch was green. You see how cool that looks. You see that blue? So we have here the white metal dial ring, city names. That's how you set up your home time. Top solar, rechargeable system, multiband 6, 29 cities, 29 time zones, stopwatch, timer, calendar, and the accuracy if you're not running with the multiband 6. Just basic information here. The multiband 6 on this page. Top solar, titanium construction. It has, I think this is how you say, Saratsu polishing on this model. You can see, since it's black, you can't really see it, but on the ones that are silver, you can see the edges a little bit more clear. But you can see this, it does have like different, very nice details there. Titanium carbide treatment. Here is more information. So this is what I was talking about right here. Blue vapor deposition details create the family color signature. So that's what's around the glass. That's why it looks blue. And this is basically the operation of the crown, which we're going to get into with details. Bigger picture. I got these pictures from the old website. I had to go back in time. And this is the smart access. So the first T1000 came out in 2010. And then, let me get my little pen here. 2011, which is this one, the black one. 2011 Edifice EQW. 2011, this other model. Let me bring it up. Oceanus, Edifice. 2012 Pro Trek. And then in 2012, the G-Shock GWA-1000 was the first G-Shock to get that technology, which is, I think this is a Gravity Master. And then it was the A1100. Then the MTG Pro Trek GWN-1000. And then the list goes on over here on the other page. This is the atomic time alignment and world time. As you can see, around the dial, you have all the cities. And this is how you're going to be setting up your home time and your second time, because you could set up 2 times here. And here is the first one that came out in 2010. Second one, I think. Yep. Third one. This is the fourth one, the one I have, the black one. And then it just keeps going, the list. 2013, I think it changed from 1000 to the T1010. As you can see there, the model number changed. And it was available for a very short period. So it's one of the most rare to find. And here also in 2012, you got the 1010 also. So you can see this one, the bezel is black, only the top part. And I created a list here with all of them, with some details. And I also created a list, separate book here, based on like value rank and rarity rank. So this one is considered to be like most rare because it was only available for a very short period of time. You can see the production run was only for like 6 to 12 months, and this price is determined in like new old stock condition. So this one that I got, these two can be interchanged, 2 and 3, depends on your taste. This one, it's because the black one, it's so easy to get scratched, because you know the black iron coating, it's supposed to like prevent scratching, but it still gets scratched, you know, and it's so difficult to find one without, you know, any scratches. And then everything keeps going down here, and then this is the manual. And I created here, let me see, like a list of things to follow if you do the same thing I did after changing the battery. So let me get into that. All right, so the first thing you got to do is go to page E44, right here. And in page E44, you're going to learn about setting up the hands to make sure that they are in the correct position, right? So following the instructions here, you have to press in the crown, right, for at least 2 seconds. And that's going to make sure that the watch is in the home timekeeping mode, the main timekeeping mode, right? And then you're going to pull out the crown, pull it out, and hold down B for about 7 seconds. B is the one at the bottom. Let's read the whole thing. Hold down B for about 7 seconds. This will cause the watch to beep twice, and then the second hand will perform 1 full revolution. So this watch does require a learning curve. Hold. There you go. And now you can let go, right? All right, once you do that, you see how it took a little while? All the hands are going to get aligned right here. So this is important because if you try to set the time, your home time, and the hands are not perfectly aligned, you're not going to be able to set your home time. You're not going to be able to get it right. So this is why I set it as the first step, right? Notice how the date window here stayed in 20. To get to the date window, you have to follow the instructions on this page over here, which is the next one, E45. And you have to press B again. Let me see if that's correct. And now it's going to move to the first of the month. There. If it wasn't in the first, then you would use the crown back and forth to reach the date, the first of the month. The same thing with the sub dials and the hour and minute hand. All you gotta do is follow the instructions here. Once you're done, you gotta push in the crown again, and the watch goes back to telling you the time. So here on this top sub dial here, it's telling you the time in the 24-hour format, and you can see here on the bottom it tells you the day of the week, plus when you change mode, the stopwatch, the timer, alarm, and for a brief second it'll let you know if you are in the time 1 slot or time 2. I'm gonna let it roll there to reach the correct date. There, reached today's date. Now the second step will be setting your home city. For that you have to go back to page E26, which is right here. And this is something, it was a bit confusing for me at the beginning because I was not reading correctly here. You use the second hand to pick your home city, right? You have to push in and hold the crown for at least 2 seconds. So it's basically the same thing. You push in, and that's just to make sure that it's in the home timekeeping mode here. Pull out the crown again, and then for about, this will cause the second hand to move to the city code. Now at the beginning I wasn't reading correctly, and I thought that the second hand I was gonna use this side to pick the city code, but no, it's the other side. And you can see it's setting to NYC, East Coast, United States. And that's because I was not reading correctly, because it's clearly here in the manual here, circling it out as how to read that. And then basically you follow the instructions here on how to set it up. To when you're done, all you got to do is push back in the crown. And then on step number 3 on my guide is setting the time on time 2, and for that you have to do on E25, which is one step back right here. And then this will tell you how to read time 1 and time 2. You can see I'm still reading because this watch, it requires a learning curve, and I haven't used it all that much to learn all of this by memory. In timekeeping mode, hold down A and keep it held down until step 2 of this procedure is complete. About 3 seconds during that period, the watch will perform the following operations automatically. So you can release A at the time is indicated by 5. So with this step, you can switch from time 1 to time 2. So A is the button on top here. You press and hold, and you let it go. You see how you would think it's the shorter side, but it's actually the longer side that is letting you know that it's now in time 2. And I have it set up for Tokyo. You see how it's lining up with Tokyo? And now, because you know that everything, we align all of it, You do the whole procedure again if you want to switch that city from Tokyo to whatever you want. Then to switch back to time 1, leave it pressed, let go. You can see the long side goes back to 1 for a brief second, and it goes back to telling you the current time in New York City. There it is. And now to switch from your timekeeping mode here to like stopwatch, you press on the crown, I believe, once. Let me see. Is it? There. I got it. You got to make sure you press it in all the way. So now it's moving to the stopwatch, right? And then to move to the timer, you press it again, it moves to the timer. Press it again, and it's alarm. And then press it again, and it went back to time 1, and it's telling you time 1. If you're going to set the time manually, you see here that it has, this is the DST window. New York City does have DST, so this dial is going to stay right here in the middle between S standard and DST, right? And you could pick whether to have it each side. Both are basically automatic. One is auto on, auto off. That's what it means. If the city that you pick does not have DST, it's just going to automatically go to STD. That's the way it works. All right, to do a manual atomic time receive, you go to the E16 page of the manual here, and you follow the instructions, and you're going to press in timekeeping mode. Make sure that you always do this step to make sure you're in the home timekeeping mode. And then you're going to press B, right? And here you could do two things. Check the last time if it received. Let's do that one first. To check the result of the latest time, press B. So quick release. Press and let go. You see how I said no? That's because I already messed up with the time, and it's showing me no. But it actually did receive the time last night. But because I did the alignment of the hands, it actually deletes that it received time last night. But that's how you check. If it was yes, it will go to Y. And to receive, let me get the antenna so I can show you. All right, so I've been asked before about my little antenna here, and this is AM loop antenna. You know, I'll leave you guys a link down below. You could buy this on Amazon. This is the same two cables that just go round and round, and then you need to get this jack adapter here. There, now it's zoomed in. The 2 cable version, you just tape it up. Doesn't matter which one goes to red and black. And then hook it up to your phone. So my old phone does not have a jack like this, so I have to use the dongle. Pretty simple. And I'm using this app here on this old Android phone, which is the, what is this called? Radio Watch. Radio Watch Sync. That app is also available on the iPhone, which I also have it installed on my iPhone. And then once you open it up, you can select the antenna. You could put it in auto, or you could pick which one you get. Now, to tell you the truth, some watches do better if I leave it in auto. On some watches, I have to pick directly the Fort Collins link to get the time. Now, in the volume, make sure the volume is all the way up. You do not need the antenna. You could just put this, but it's gonna sound like beep beep, and it bothers me. That's why I have the little antenna here. So once you have it all ready, just click start. And see, and then it's not clicked all the way in, and that's how it sounds. So let me make sure that everything is clicked in place properly. And now it's running. You can't hear it. That beeping sound, it's going through the cable. That way I could talk and it doesn't bother us. All right, to receive, let me open up the bracelet. That way it'll sit better here. You're going to press and hold B. B is the one at the bottom. And you're going to see the second hand, the long side, the back end, is going to move to R, which is ready. And then once it detects the signal, it'll move to the W, which means work. On a digital watch, you see L1, L2, L3. So on this watch, W means like an L3, right? And then it'll take like 3 or 4 minutes. And then after 3 or 4 minutes, you're gonna see the watch. If it's way off, you're gonna see that everything is gonna turn and set the time. But on this, it's probably just gonna stay the same because it's actually on time. But we're gonna check that instead of N, it's gonna say yes. Let's double check that again. One press, and it's saying no. All right, do a long press. R. All right, we set the watch down here. And move in more light. And you can see it move to W. And now it's going to stay there for like 3 or 4 minutes. So you can see that it started moving back up again. And the hour and minute hand did not move because the watch is actually already in time. And to verify that it received the signal, we short press the B button again. And you can see that it now says Y, which means yes. Now, on all the watches that I've removed and replaced the battery, this process never works the first time. Don't know why. I actually have to do it like 2 or 3 times. But once it works, and if it doesn't work the second time, it's because I have to change between the signal antenna or auto. And once I select the ones that it does work, so for this watch, I found that I have to select the actual Fort Collins antenna. So it took 2 times the first time I did it. And then once I do it once, and then I put it on my little stand that I created for all the atomic watches, and it will keep receiving time normally every night. If you don't have any of this, you have to set the watch as close as possible to the real time, because you got to remember it'll try to receive time around midnight, so the time has to be as close as possible, and then you have to learn. You got to read that manual to make sure that date is in the correct year. So you got to learn how to do all that. That's why this is a time saver, because this will automatically adjust for leap years and all that stuff. So that's why I really love this antenna thing, because it helps me set up the time correctly, a lot faster. So let's do a little more talking about this. All right, so what I don't like about this watch is that it doesn't have a battery gauge. I feel like they could have added another sub dial here, like this other, which I've already done a video on, and they could have moved all this down here, like this watch here, look, and have the battery gauge like here. On this side here, you could have another sub dial on this area right here, and could have looked very nice. Newer watches that come with a tachymeter do have the 3 sub dials, but on this one, I mean, I guess they couldn't figure it out back then because of the smart crown here, but it is what it is. And that's why I like this watch, because if you see people that have like a tachymeter style Daytona watch, I bet you 99% of them don't even know how to use that function. So this is my Orient Panda here. This watch is also solar, and it doesn't have a battery gauge either. It doesn't have the original bezel because I changed it, but the original also had a diver type bezel like this one. So, you know, it's more friendly, you know, more useful. Now this one, if you want to know if the battery is dying, the second hand will start clicking every 2 seconds. That's letting you know that you need to charge the watch. If you've been using it, all the functions, like doing the stopwatch, the timer constantly, it'll drain the battery. Then it'll start clicking every 2 seconds, and that's gonna let you know that you need to put it up in a charger, or you know, by close to a window or something. So that's gonna be it. Pretty much, you know, I really like the crown. I like everything on this watch, except for the fact that it doesn't have a battery gauge. Very comfortable watch. Very classy looking. 7.5 wrists. Fits very comfortably. Comfortable. Do you have one of these? Do you like it? You want to get one? Have you seen one of these before? Let me know down below. Thank you for watching. Peace out. Boom.